Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. Let's continue our series of NFL Mount Rushmores. This will be the 21st of 32 NFL teams going in alphabetical order. Today brings us the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have been a franchise since 1961. They have appeared in 4 Super Bowls but have yet to win one. They appeared in Super Bowl in the 1969, 1973, 1974, and 1976 seasons. So 4 Super Bowls in an 8-year span. Unfortunately, didn't win any. In these Mount Rushmores, I attempt to name the 4 best players in franchise history as a subjective list. Let me know in the comments who you would include. And with the Vikings, with the amount of amazing players they've had, it's quite shocking that they haven't won a Super Bowl. It was very hard doing this. There are a bunch of Hall of Famers. It was very hard to limit it to 4, and there's some more modern players that I had to leave off that are quite historic, so we'll get into those. I'll be naming honorable mentions at the end, but let's get into it. Minnesota Vikings Mount Rushmore. I named the players in alphabetical order by last name. They are not ranked, starting with Carl Eller. I'm thinking of Henry Ellard for a second. Sorry, guys. Henry Ellard was a 6th overall pick by the Vikings in the 1964 NFL Draft, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2004. Eller played 15 seasons for the Vikings before going to the Seahawks for his final year in 1979. All in all, sacks were not an official stat in his days, but according to Pro Football Reference, he finished his career with 130 and a half sacks. Finished 3rd in MVP voting once, 5th another year, and 9th in another season. He had 7 seasons of at least 10 sacks, double digits, including 2 seasons, 1969 and 1977, where again, Pro Football Focus credits him for 15. He recovered 23 fumbles in his career, 1 for a touchdown, 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, including 4 straight years from 1968 to 1971. Carl Eller is the first member of the Vikings Mount Rushmore. Next, we got Randall McDaniel. Randall McDaniel, 19th overall pick in the 1988 NFL Draft, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009, member of the Pro Football's 100th anniversary team. All in all, he played his first 12 seasons with the Vikings from 1988 to 1999. In that time, made 11 straight Pro Bowls from 89 to 99, including his 1 Pro Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is tied for the second most Pro Bowls by an offensive lineman in NFL history, along with Will Shields and Jim Otto. The only one they are behind is Bruce Matthews, who had 14. McDaniel, a first-team All-1990s Hall of Fame team, was a first-team All-Pro 7 times, including 5 straight seasons from 92 to 96. And other than 2 missed games in 1989, he never missed a game for the Vikings or even his 2 years with the Bucs. Randall McDaniel, the second member of the Vikings Mount Rushmore. Next, we got Alan Page. Alan Page was selected 15th overall in the 1967 NFL Draft. Played 11 full seasons, 67 to 77 with the team, and was traded about halfway through the 1978 season. Page was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1988. With the Vikings, he was named to 9 Pro Bowls and was a 5-team All-Pro over a 6-year span, 1970, 71, 73, 74, and 75. Again, sacks were not an official stat during his time, but the defensive tackle is credited for 108 and a half over his time with the Vikings. Alan Page actually became the first player in NFL history, first defensive player, I should say, to be named MVP of the league. That happened in 1971. Was also Defensive Player of the Year that season. Twice finished fourth in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Pro Football Reference credits him for 18 sacks in 1976. Alan Page, the third member of the Vikings Mount Rushmore. And last, we got Fran Tarkington. Tarkington was taken third round, 29th overall in the 1961 NFL Draft. Had 2 stints with the Vikings. His second one was better. From 61 to 66, played for the Vikings. Then spent 5 years with the Giants. And then from 72 to 78, also played with the Vikings. So 13 seasons overall. In those 13 seasons with Minnesota, Tarkington went 91, 73, and 6 as a starter. Altogether with the team, threw for 33,098 yards and 239 touchdowns. Also did a lot of damage with his feet. 2,548 yards and 22 touchdowns with Minnesota. His best season came in 1975 when he was named both MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. There were 3 seasons in which he helped guide Minnesota to the Super Bowl, 73, 74, and 76. As I mentioned in the beginning, the Vikings have yet to win a Super Bowl, so obviously he didn't win any of those. With his time with the Vikings, he once led the league in completion percentage, once passing yards, once in touchdowns. Fran Tarkington, easily the best quarterback in franchise history, and the 4th member of the Vikings Mount Rushmore. So, again, in alphabetical order, we got Carl Eller, Randall McDaniel, Alan Page, and Fran Tarkington. As I mentioned, there were some more recent players who were very hard to leave off. Historic, you could even say. Guys such as Randy Moss, Adrian Peterson, and Chris Carter. This was just a very hard Mount Rushmore to get on. Other honorable mentions include John Randall, McTinglehoff, Jim Marshall, Ron Yary, Paul Krause, Kevin Williams, Gary Zimmerman, Chris Dolman, Chuck Foreman, Ahmad Rashad, Steve Jordan, Bobby Bryant, Joey Browner, Harrison Smith, Jared Allen. 2 current players possibly could get on with, or at least be more honorable mentions later in their career. Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. This was a very difficult one, guys, and I originally had Adrian Peterson on before changing him for Carl Eller. So if you think Peterson should be on, I definitely won't debate you too much. It was a very tough one to do, guys. Very tough. And honestly was quite surprised at the amount of superb players they've had without winning a Super Bowl in their lifetime. Well, that's 21 Mount Rushmores down. We got 11 left. Tomorrow, we're doing these daily. The New England Patriots ought to be interesting. I think we know one already. Let's see who the other 3 are. Stay tuned for that. How do you stay tuned for that? Make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to hit that subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.